Audicratic audio.
And to that note too, I mean, how is AI really affecting the industry, and how is it affecting how you approach business? What are you seeing when you talk to companies? And we're right in the thick of it now with AI obviously taking off exponentially. So what are you seeing?
Well, as of right now, as of the recording of this podcast, I almost said January, February 2026. Uh, from what I can see, the majority, if not all, well, no, let's say the majority of clients are saying we don't want any AI generated music. We don't want partially AI generated music or AI assisted music. Right? Obviously, there's stuff like Isotope where, yeah, you can use a AI plugin, right? Because that just gives you a starting point that like you still got to make it sound good, right?
Yeah, I use Isotope. I love
Yeah,
Isotope plugins. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, like what's it called? Ozone. Right?
Ozone. Yeah, yep.
Yeah. And so, like I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like generative AI. If you use get a loop from like a AI system and put it in a track, like you're not going to want to send that in for sync. I've even read up on recently, I think it was SACEM, the French PRO. They're working with, I forgot what company it was, but there's now like tracking software that can pick up when AI stuff is used in a song.
See, that's very interesting
That's
because it
only going
seems
to
like
get better.
that's pretty interesting. Because even when I've, like, toyed around with, like, AI sites, like, let me see if I can, like, find some, like, AI samples, and as much as I've tried, nothing has even hit in a way where I even
Yeah.
spend much time at all, so that's very interesting. There's technology that's gonna be able to detect that.
Yeah, and that's only gonna get better, right? Obviously, the initial AI stuff is gonna go out ahead of the detection, but that's gonna, I think, catch up a lot quicker than people anticipate.
Right.
So people are like, "Oh, no one's gonna know. No one's gonna notice." It's like, yeah, it's gonna bite you in the ass. Give it a year, or less. It's probably gonna catch up. But so that kind of redefines the brand name of Made by Us because it's more of an indication of like made by people. Now we did, and you were part of this. Made by Us. We had a big conversation with our roster. I'm sure every publisher that can do this or have the ability to uh, basically gave the roster an option to opt in or opt out of AI, meaning not that we're creating music with AI, but now do we want to take, people's music and then submit it to AI companies, not for like saying, hey, they're just going to snatch it up and keep the music. No, obviously not. But like there are plugin companies that need large catalogs of music to, do whatever, what is it, like machine learning and just whatever
Create algorithms,
create
really.
algorithms
Yeah.
and just learn from the songs for them to create their mastering software or their, like imagine if like not that this was a real life thing that happened with us, but like let's say Isotope was coming out with the next Ozone and they needed music to learn from it, right? Like we're working with companies that are willing to play ball and compensate the creators for, using the music to learn. Not like I don't want to name any other big AI companies, but the obvious bigger ones where they've been accused of scraping the internet
And
illegally.
it has to be happening, like,
Like
there's no way it's not. Yeah, it's
honestly, I'm
just
sure
yeah.
your shit's been scraped, my shit's
Oh, yeah.
been
You
scraped.
have to expect it at this point. That's how
Yeah.
I look at it. Like,
Like
you
if
just
our
have to expect it. If it's out there, it's getting scraped.
yeah, if your shit's on Spotify or YouTube or, Instagram, it probably got scraped at one point, right? And that's unavoidable. So, obviously we're not trying to work with any of those kinds of companies, but the ones that are like, "Hey, we need music and we wanna pay you for the music," not to keep, not to sell outright, but just to license it the same way a TV network would wanna do. Where, and that's the beauty of licensing for me is that, if you get a track on an artist album, that's great. You get to celebrate, but you retire that beat for good, right? Like you probably can't reuse that beat on another artist's album. An artist wouldn't want the same beat unless it's like a remix, but that's a whole nother story. But sync, like it can show up on, there's been shows that I have music on where it's multiple episodes of the same show. It's different shows, multiple episodes, all the same track. Uh, and it's all perfectly legal because it's in perpetuity, like within the show. Like basically, I can't pull the song from the show. That would kind of be impossible anyway.
And as long as they don't have exclusive rights, you could still do essentially whatever you want with the beat.
Yeah, most licenses, as far as like music users, like the end users, understand like okay, like it can't be exclusive. I mean, there are buyout situations where they say, "Hey, we want to buy this outright," but when that happens, the price goes up.
Right.
Right, like we did some stuff with, some companies where, it's buyouts, but, all that's, like, ahead of, sending the music. They can't just be like, "Oh, by the way, we're keeping this." Like, obviously, all the paperwork gotta be right and all that, but, yeah, there's so many ways you can make money in sync and, just from the royalties, upfront payments, custom work buyouts. I recently did a theme for, Iman Shumpert has a podcast, called, Shump Street, and I did the theme for that.
Jump
So
Street.
yeah, yeah. So the Shump Street
Oh,
podcast,
that's dope. That's
yeah,
dope. Yeah.
go check that out. So I did a custom theme for that. It was really dope because it features the guy Ray Clay who announced Michael Jordan like during the '90s run, like and now number 23. Like that dude is on the theme that I did announcing Iman Shumpert,
Amazing.
which
Did
is
you know that was gonna happen or no?
yes, yes. During the whole making of it, shout to my guy Neil who helped me put all that together. He told me what's happening. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna try and get Ray Clay on the track. This is what we want for the track." And you get a brief. You know, for those of you that might not know who's watching, a brief is this is not what you get from the commercial side, right? Because the record label A&Rs just go, or used to. I don't know if there's any A&Rs left, but like they used to just be like, "Hey, just send me hits." That would be the extent of the
Just as
description.
easy as that. Just the hits, you know?
"Oh, send me that fire." Right? And it's like, "All right, cool." But with Sync, the people that actually listen to the music, they're giving you an exact description of what they want, right? Of just like, "Hey, I want it like in this genre, around this tempo, this kinda energy." We don't
And
want
I've seen those ops with Made by Us. They're
yeah.
very specific. Sometimes it's not as specific, but sometimes they're very specific. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to all the music supervisors in the world, like the Guild of Music Supervisors. Made by Us, we're a friend of the Guild as well. Like this, our membership with them. Like, there's a lot of music supervisors who like they get on top of their shit. They really do. And in my music career, a music supervisor I feel like has been on top of their shit more than the classic record label A&R. As far as like communicating, intaking, taking music, going through music, actually listening to music, just because the demand is so much higher too, with it. So I don't know. Shout out to the music supervisor doesn't get enough love, or shout out. So, just want to shout them out because, everyone talks about the A&R, the record label A&R, and, they're the ones that look cool and, oh, he must know these big artists, at the look at him, look at his picture on the Grammy red carpet. Okay, great. But like the supervisors, like the music supervisors, they're contributing to culture, I feel like just as much. And folks listening, when we're talking about ops, we're not talking about the ops, we're talking about opportunities
Word docs that we get sent to show what companies are looking for.
and how much money you'll get paid if you land it. Right. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I love what you guys are doing with Made by Us, and it's funny. I've kind of had a turnaround on like how my outlook on AI, and for a little bit there, I was thinking, geez, like Made by Us, it's going to be tough because if all these companies can spend pennies on the dollar to just generate AI music, it's almost like it's got to be very hard to compete with that. But the more I tinker with some of these sites, I think a lot of it is just not that great. I mean, especially if you're a music head, if you're a music, if you're a music supervisor,
Mhm.
I think it's still amazing what some of the software can do. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yep.
But I don't know. I still think there really is always going to be a need for the musician. I don't think it's going to go away. I think there's going to be some world where they both kind of coexist,
Yes.
and it's just kind of a matter of maybe what you're looking for. Do you want a certain touch? I'm sure there's a lot of companies that, might opt into just going the easy route and
Yeah.
maybe picking some AI stuff. But even as it learns more, I still think there's going to be a touch it just can't have without humans. I really do. And even for as close as it can get. So I think if you guys stay the course, you guys will be hopefully doing good and better as the time goes on. So
I mean, shout out to my guys. I gotta shout them out just from the Maybe Us squad, Smart Boy Beats and Hayden THC. We've had endless AI conversations
oh, I bet. Yeah.
behind the scenes, and another thing we've landed on it's kind of like T Pain used autotune for his whole career, still uses autotune to this day. But people forget T Pain can sing without autotune. He never fucking needed autotune.
Right.
Right? So I feel like in the AI world, and there's a songwriting team that myself and PJ met with where they're getting really heavy into AI, but they were really dope songwriters before
It
they
still takes the
got
ear. It still takes
got
the
into AI.
final call.
So,
Yeah, you still have to have the mind for it no matter what.
yeah, if you're a trash producer, like using AI is not gonna make you a better producer or a better songwriter or a better artist. So you still gotta be nice at what you do before using the tools you know, to enhance your already established skill set. Like, there's still gotta be you still gotta be dope.
And speaking of like ozone, because I use ozone, I love ozone,
Yeah.
and like neutron and what comes with the pack with isotope. And
Yeah.
when we do a round two, we'll get a little bit more into the specifics on maybe DAW usage, plugins, stuff like that. But
Sure.
what I've noticed with something like ozone, it's really kind of almost like a teaching tool, and
Yeah.
it is really amazing. It works wonders. It really is a one click, and it gets you almost all the way there. Sometimes all the way there once you have a lot of plugins already there.
It's that
But what
commercial. One click and it's done. What's that
Yeah.
fucking
I
commercial?
mean, it really is that good of a product, but it really because it's like a rack and you see what it did with EQ, what it did with the
Yep.
imaging, what it did. So then when you see that, then you're learning, and then maybe you're just kinda doing that without ozone here and there, especially on
Yeah.
individual tracks. So it really can be kind of a tool. So if you're just kinda dropping it and hitting a button, at least
Yeah.
in when we're talking about ozone, I mean, you gotta know you gotta know what you want, you gotta know what sounds good, you gotta know how it sounds in the whip after you
Yeah.
bounce it out, so it will
Yeah.
get you there. There will always be the need for the human touch, like, always.
And
I really believe that.
yeah, and I also feel like with anything, any of those AI tools where, there's presets or whatever preset you're using on any plugin, like those presets are never going to perfectly mold whatever sound you're working with, like your before sound, and then you apply the preset and then you have an after sound. It's never going to work out perfectly for you. There's going to be like to me, it's always starting point. Like that should be the key term in your head. It's always a starting point, where like there's a lot of times where you put up a preset and it just sounds like S.
Right.
It's not applicable to what you're
Yeah.
working on. So a lot of times, like just finding a good starting point and then really just adjusting the taste. I mean, to me, that's the best, abbreviated version of mixing advice I can give.